One sunny afternoon, Aikido Kanbara, a young boy with blonde hair, unexpectedly encounters a fellow first-year student standing precariously on the edge of the school rooftop. Aikido wonders what kind of person he would be as he ponders on the fact that he should try to save her or not. However, fearing for her safety, Aikido rushes over, trying to persuade her against any thoughts of jumping. Nevertheless, before he can react, the girl in red-framed glasses unexpectedly leaps towards him, wielding a mysterious crimson blade that materialized out of thin air and stabs Aikido with trembling hands. Not understanding why things proceeded in this direction, Aikido asks the girl to dislodge her sword, which startles the girl as she realizes that Aikido isn't an ordinary boy. Following that fateful day, Aikido finds himself assisting the literary club's president, Mitsuki Nace, with various club tasks. Together, they explore the intricacies of the stories they plan to include in the club's upcoming anthology as Mitsuki shares her gore-worthy story. While engrossed in their work, Aikido is drawn to a commotion in another room while realizing that the person might be Mirai Kuriyama. Aikido acts as if he doesn't know that Mirai is behind him, but startles her with his words, which makes our clumsy girl fall as she tries to escape him. Aikido asks Mirai the purpose of her visit, which panics her as she tries to think of a reason while cleaning her glasses. Aikido tries to reason with Mirai about his situation as he reflects on the numerous injuries he has endured due to Mirai's persistent curiosity about his extraordinary ability to rapidly recover from even fatal wounds. His frustration boils over. He clarifies to Mirai that he is not a typical human possessed by a Yumu, creatures that are spiritual beings, which she often encounters in her role as a spirit world warrior. As the work of the spirit world warrior involves defeating Yumu. Instead, Aikido reveals his true nature as a half Yumu. Despite his outburst, Mirai claims that she will try her best to kill him. After that, when Mirai tries to leave, she again falls down while walking past a broom. After dealing with Mirai's tantrums, Aikido returns to his club room where Mitsuki teases him by stating he should give Mirai the opportunity to hit him as long as she wants, but Aikido refuses, claiming that even though he will not die. However, he does feel pain that he cannot get used to. After refusing Mitsuki's suggestion, Aikido wonders why Mirai is persistent to attack him alone, while he comes to the conclusion that Mirai might have feelings for him, which makes him happy as he has a thing for girls in glasses. However, as the school ends, Mitsuki warns him to not get involved with the likes of Mirai. Even though Aikido tries to ask the reason, Mitsuki claims that he should listen to the words of a daughter from the Nace family, as they have control over the spirit world warriors of the region. As the school day draws to a close, Aikido exits the club room only to find Mirai waiting for him. Sensing her presence, he stops in his tracks and asks Mirai about her unique heritage. With a heavy heart, Mirai explains that as a member of a family of spirit world warriors who possess the forbidden ability to manipulate blood, her clan had the tendency to fight against powerful creatures, which resulted in their elimination by other spirit world warriors, leaving her as the sole survivor. After that, Mirai unveils the same crimson blade that she used to stab Aikido in their first encounter with the intent to attack him once again, while Aikido's instincts kick in, and he instinctively flees from Mirai. The school becomes a chaotic battleground as Aikido throws objects to create obstacles to confuse Mirai, who yet again falls clumsily. After a frantic chase, Aikido manages to gain a slight advantage and pins Mirai against a nearby locker. However, her determination to stab Aikido gets the best of her, as she escapes from the locker, with a bucket on her head lol. But their fight also comes to a close as Mirai's stomach calls out for some food. However, before Mirai can explain herself, a Yumo attacks them, and Mirai trembles in fear in its presence. Meanwhile, the school teacher, Shizuku Nanomiya, comes to their rescue as she chases down the monster and asks Aikido to call out the cleaners before leaving. On the other hand, Mirai and Aikido enjoy a delicious meal at a restaurant at the expense of Aikido. Mirai informs Aikido that she never killed a Yumo before, but when Aikido asks about her reason, she ignores him. Along the way to their homes, Aikido advises Mirai to shift her focus on hunting Yumo instead of continuously attacking him, given that it will be comfortable for both of them. As they part ways, Aikido notices the hesitation in Mirai's eyes, which leaves him bothered throughout the night. The next day, Aikido and Mitsuki meet up at the school cafeteria. After some small talk, Mitsuki reveals her true intentions and informs Aikido to sever all ties with Mirai. She explains that the Nace family is keeping a close watch on Mirai Kuriyama and warns Aikido that bad things may happen to him if he continues to be associated with her. However, as Mitsuki knows that Aikido will not listen to her, she reminds him that he cannot die, but his actions have consequences. As the school day ends, Aikido and Mirai cross paths once more, and this time there is no bloodshed. Aikido takes this opportunity to talk to Mirai about what Mitsuki had told him earlier and asks Mirai the reason she is visiting the town. However, instead of answering Aikido, Mirai focuses on eating. The girl has set her priorities straight, which makes Aikido ask about her apartment, and it becomes apparent that Yumu is hunting her house. However, Mirai hesitates, torn between her fear of taking a life and her realization that she cannot easily abandon her role as a spirit world warrior to lead a normal existence. Aikido opens up as well, confessing that he shares similar sentiments. Later that night, Aikido accompanies Mirai to her apartment. Initially, everything appears ordinary, but all of a sudden, the tranquility is abruptly shattered when supernatural phenomena begin to unfold. They find themselves thrust into a sudden confrontation with a menacing Yumu, manifesting in the form of a phantom-like mummy. The appearance of Yumu makes Aikido remember a painful memory of his past, while Mirai saves him from the attack of mummy-like Yumu. However, the Yumu escapes from the house, while Mirai relentlessly chases the Yumu, determined to prevent its escape. Mirai's skillful maneuvers allow her to repel the Yumu's attacks, but the creature's cunning tactics create a frustrating stalemate as he escapes Mirai's attack. Aikido reminds Mirai that killing the creature will help her cover her rent and groceries, giving her a reason to chase the little rascal. As Mirai and the monster exchange blows, it tries to escape by flying away, but Mirai strikes a fatal blow by unleashing her sealed powers. But a wave of hesitation surges through her as memories of her past encounters with slaying Yu flood her mind. Despite this inner conflict, she gathers her resolve and delivers the decisive blow, vanquishing the Yumu. Grateful for Mirai's unwavering efforts and her life-saving actions, Aikido gives her the remnants of the Yumu, resembling a precious ore. Aikido also informs Mirai that there is certainly someone in town that accepts these ores and gives money in return by taking them. As Aikido watches blood on Mirai's hand, he tenderly wraps her wounded hand, acknowledging her selflessness in protecting him. Aikido also asks Mirai to join his club, but Mirai resolutely refuses Aikido's invitation to join the literary club, while she feigns due to blood loss. At night, after dropping Mirai to her apartment, Aikido receives a blank postcard from her mother. The next day, Aikido visits Mirai, who feels unpleasant after seeing his face, but decides to follow him as Aikido is taking her to Shindu Photoshop. Aikido informs Mirai that Ayaka Shindu is an official Yumu appraiser of their town. At the shop, they are welcomed by Ai Shindo, who informs the duo that Ayaka is sleeping right now. Meanwhile, Aikido informs A that they are here regarding an ore that they got after killing a Yumu. However, Mirai suddenly yields her sword as she claims that Ai is a Yumu, but Aikido informs her that Ayaka is also a Yumu, which surprises her. Ai decides to explain her perspective, as she brings her certificate of work, which is approved by the Spiritual Society. Meanwhile, Ai also explains how she and Ayaka are different from other Yumas as they come in all shapes and sizes, which makes Mirai half convinced. However, Mitsuki approaches them, so Aikido introduces Mirai to his club leader Mitsuki, but Mitsuki disses him by claiming that she thought Aikido himself made the idea of someone named Mirai. Mitsuki is definitely relentless. After that, as they all talk, Aikido asks Ai and Mitsuki about a rather aggressive Yumu but receives no good answer. Mirai feels captivated as she watches them talk, as she never had any friends, but Aikido brings up the topic of her joining the club, which frustrates Mirai, which she refuses and leaves. The next day, as the students enjoy their meals, Mirai also gets her lunch, which is interrupted by Aikido, who gives her a rice ball and asks her to join the club yet again. However, Mirai avoids his question and leaves, which makes Aikido decide to talk with Hiromi, who is relaxing on the roof. Aikido questions Hiromi about the attack that happened a few days ago at school, as Hiromi is supposed to put a shield around school premises. However, Hiromi dismisses Aikido's claims and informs him that it is not his job to protect the school. But Aikido raises his other question regarding aggressive Yumu, which makes Hiromi remind Aikido about their deal. Hiromi states that Aikido is roaming freely because of their deal, which involves Aikido remaining neutral in the face of danger and doesn't get involved himself in things that are forbidden. However, as Aikido insists, Hiromi claims that he doesn't tell Aikido. After that, Aikido tries to find Mirai, who is nowhere to be found, so he visits the shop where Shizuka is arguing with Akaya about the price of the ore that she got, but she leaves as soon as she gets a call from her date. Outside, Mirai feels lost as she's unable to find the shop due to the new human repellent, but Mitsuki decides to help her. While walking towards the shop, Mirai asks Mitsuki about her reason for being with Aikido, but she claims that she is merely watching him. At the shop, Aikido hands over her mother's postcard to Ayaka, who uses magic to unravel the message in it. However, the sight of her mother in cat clothes surprises him and he asks Ayaka to forget about it. But to Aikido's demise, Mitsuki compels to hear the rest of the message, while Ayaka claims that cat Yu mothers are not very bright, while Akito informs her that his father is Yomu, not her mother. Ayaka yet again unfolds the message in which, after teasing his own son's Akito mother, informs him that a powerful Yumu called Hollow Spirit will be entering their town soon, so he should remain inside during the night. The name Hollow Spirit surprises Mirai, but she decides to remain silent as Akito ponders what's Hollow Spirit, which makes Ayaka inform him that it is a powerful being without a physical body. This information makes Akito understand the fact why Yumu are being aggressive these days. After that, Ayaka appraises Mirai's Yumu ore, which gives her only 1,000 yen, making her sulk. Meanwhile, Mitsuki asks Mirai to approach her in case she gets into any trouble, giving her the green light to join their club. However, Mirai remains consistent with her approach when she treats Akito to a meal where she explains that, as has killed someone, she cannot think of leading a normal life, so Akito should stay away from her. The next day, while chasing down a Yumu, Mirai enters an abandoned building where she corners the Yumu. However, as Mirai moves forward to dash the final blow, she hesitates, which gives Yumu the chance to flee. But Mitsuki intervenes as her pet Yakimo cuts down the Yumu and hands the ore to Mirai. This act of kindness makes Mirai angry as she throws the ore in Mitsuki's direction while claiming that she isn't like Akito, which surprises Mitsuki, although someone watches them from afar. At the Nace Mansion, an investigative officer, Miroku Fujima from the Spirit World Warrior, meets up with Izumi Nace, who asks Miroku about the reason for his visit. Miroku informs that the society is interested in the Hollow Spirit that is going to cross this town pretty soon. Miroku also explains the fact that Yumu exists due to people's malice and hatred and will continue to spread spite, while the Spirit Warriors will kill them till humans exist. Izumi also gives her opinion by suggesting that, being part of a house whose sole purpose is to exterminate Yumu, she views them as monsters only. Their conversation when Miroku asks Izumi about the painting in the room, but Izumi informs him that it is merely a Yumu inside her barrier, which surprises him. At school, while Akito tries to find Mirai, Ai calls out to him and informs him that Mirai is eating canned food as she's out of money. Akito approaches Mirai and gives her the money that she earned for defeating a Yumu. Even though Mirai doesn't want to accept such a hefty amount as the Yumu was killed by Mitsuki, her hands deceive her as they approach the money, which makes Akito claim that her words and her actions are completely opposite. After taking the money, Mirai decides to leave, but Akito chooses to guilt-trip her into joining the club, which she reluctantly ignores. As Mirai leaves, she crosses paths with Shizuka, who informs Mirai that the Hollow Spirit will enter the town in the evening, so they should try to avoid him at all cost. Meanwhile, Akito meets up with Hiromi to discuss Mirai's situation. Akito asks about Mirai's past, but Hiromi remains firm in his answer by claiming that he doesn't have a clue. However, their conversation takes a wrong turn as the duo ends up discussing that girls are the prettiest when they wear glasses. Akito claims that he has inflicted the idea of wearing glasses on Mitsuki, which surprises Hiromi, who has a sister complex, and Mitsuki also backs Akito by wearing glasses to damage Hiromi's sister complex. As they all engage in a conversation, Mitsuki hands a piece of paper to Akito discreetly. After school, Akito meets up with Mitsuki in an abandoned train station, where she first takes the chance to tease Akito. After that, Mitsuki informs that she has information regarding Mirai as she used someone named Iroh, who has the ability to directly connect her mind to the internet to get information. As the night falls, Ai watches the sky as it turns purple, while Ayaka informs her it is due to the influence of the Hollow Spirit. All of a sudden, the window gets fingerprints on it, which frighten Ai as she retreats into Ayaka's arms. However, Ayaka informs that she is ready to cast her spell, so I shouldn't worry. Ayaka makes a huge barrier around her area, which causes many Yu to perish. Meanwhile, as Akito walks towards Mirai's apartment, he remembers Mitsuki's words that Mirai was taken in by the Inami family. But there is a myth that everyone who remains in contact with people who have cursed blood in their veins suffers misfortune. The Inami family lost their daughter at the hands of the Hollow Spirit and asked Akito to understand Mirai's situation. After that, Akito meets up with Mirai and informs her that he knows about Mirai's situation, but she ignores him. As the Hollow Spirit makes its journey through the town, countless Yun begin to appear, while Miruko asks Izumi about the Hollow Spirit's huge size, making Izumi inform that the actual body of the Hollow Spirit is deeply embedded in this center. Elsewhere, Mirai gets out of her house to pursue her vengeance when Akito tries to stop her by claiming that dying by the hand of the Spirit Hollow won't change the past. However, it triggers Mirai's memories as she explains that the Inami family took her, even though they knew the truth about her, and they also taught her how to control her powers. Still, the Inami family kept Mirai in a separate room, but Yue, their eldest daughter, helped her to see the world from a different perspective. However, one day while going to school, Yu got possessed by the Hollow Spirit and Mirai killed her while fearing for her life, which still haunts her. Mirai claims that a person like Aikido cannot understand her pain as he is always surrounded by people who care for him and leave. Meanwhile, around the town, spirit warriors are informed to stay away from the hollow spirit, and the people who can cast barriers are informed to clear the path for the creature to pass. Hiromi and the others cast a barrier, but he gets attacked by various Yumu, which he kills while holding the barrier. At the Nace Mansion, Moroku also kills a Yumu with his skill, which surprises Izumi a bit, but she remains calm. Meanwhile, Mirai makes her way toward the forest, where she unleashes her power in pursuit of attacking the monster. However, Mirai gets ambushed by Sakura, and they get sucked into the creature's powers. Even though Mirai tries her best to escape Sakura's attack, she almost gets hit by her, but Aikido saves her by appearing out of nowhere, while he claims that Mirai doesn't have a clue about his life. After that, Aikido asks Mirai to run, but she feels anemic, so Aikido picks her up to save her from Sakura's hands. As Aikido runs, he asks about the girl who is attacking Mirai, but she remains silent and diverts the question by asking Aikido how he was able to enter this realm. However, as Aikido is also clueless, he informs that he just saw Mirai in some sort of a hole, so he jumped right into it. Their conversation is cut short when Sakura attacks them, but Mirai uses Sakura's attack to put a wall between them, while the duo makes a run for it. Elsewhere, Hiromi gets a call from his sister who asks about Aikido's whereabouts while she informs him that she slipped her tongue a bit. It gives Hiromi a chance to tease his little sister, as he states that Mitsuki should ask him politely, making her comply with Hiromi's request while he gets ready to fulfill her little sister's request after killing countless Yumas. At the Nace Mansion, Moroku suggests that the danger has passed while Izumi thinks otherwise. In the labyrinth of the hollow spirit, Aikido and Mirai try to find their escape, which makes Aikido ask Mirai if she should know how to tackle this situation. This statement panics Mirai as she decided to fight the hollow spirit without any plan. As they talk, Sakura attacks them from behind, which makes the duo keep on complaining to each other. Aikido decides to explain that although Mirai thinks that he has friends, she doesn't have any idea about his situation. However, the stairs become slippery, which causes them to slip, but Aikido captures Mirai while he asks her to take off her tights and shoes. Sakura attacks the duo, but they manage to escape using a door where they throw Mirai's leggings to a different path to confuse Sakura while they run in different directions. As Mirai and Aikido catch their breath, Aikido again brings up the topic of Sakura, which makes Mirai finally tell that Sakura is Yu's little sister. Mirai also informs Aikido that technically Sakura isn't a spirit warrior as she didn't have the powers before. Meanwhile, Sakura finds herself in her old house where she encounters Yu's image. At Mirai's end, all of a sudden, the trains start moving and Mirai encounters Yu in one of the trains, so she gets in it, but no matter how she tries, Mirai cannot find Yu. However, as they reach the end of the train, a shadow takes the form of Yu and attacks them, while she also grabs Mirai. The shadow makes yet another Yu, which approaches Mirai to kill her, but Aikido intervenes by claiming that she is not real Yu and throws Mirai's ring towards her. As Mirai watches the ring, she comes back to reality while thinking about Yui and uses her blood to get away from the monster's grip. However, as the monster takes its original form, Mirai stabs it while throwing out her blood, which causes the monster to disappear. They all escape the illusions. Aikido tries to approach the wounded Mirai, but she stops him as her cursed blood falls from the sky. Sakura informs Aikido about Mirai's cursed nature and claims that she is a Grim Reaper who kills everyone that comes in her way. The rain stops and Aikido realizes that Sakura is gone, so he tries to comfort Mirai, who asks Aikido, does she now look like a human? However, as Aikido moves towards Mirai, the hollow monster invades Aikido's body and tries to take over it. Meanwhile, Ayaka gets ready when it transforms into her original form as she enjoys playing ball. OMGI is so cute. In the forest, Aikido barely manages to convince Mirai to attack him as he will not die and claims that Mirai is much stronger because she came knowing that the creature might kill her. Aikido's words reach Mirai as she stabs him and also sprays her inside Aikido's body, which makes the creature run away. But Mirai attacks it with all her might, which finally kills off the monster for good. However, when Mirai tries to approach Aikido, Hiromi and the others stop her as they put a barrier around Aikido's trembling body. Ayaka informs Mirai that as Aikido is a half Yumu, so when Aikido is in a perilous condition, his other half emerges and they are tasked to prevent him from the surrounding. As the group thickens the barrier, Aikido wakes up in his Yumu form and tries to break from the barrier, while the group barely manages to keep Aikido inside. Ayaka also informs Mirai that if they won't be able to stop Aikido, Hiromi will have to kill him by taking out his physical form. As Aikido's strength grows, one of his power balls causes a huge explosion which startles everyone. Shizuku tries her best to contain the situation, but Aikido releases huge pockets of energy which also make their way towards the town, but Izumi stops them, while Mitsuki observes a certain kind of energy in the ground. Meanwhile, everyone who came to stop Akihito lies on the ground. Mirai understands the situation Akihito is living in and approaches him to stop him. Even though Akihito attacks Mirai as well, she manages to subjugate him as she hugs him tightly. Soon, Akihito comes to his senses and watches what Izumi had done while Mirai hugs him tightly as she apologizes for her behavior. After recovering from her injuries, Mirai eats at a restaurant while she sulks as the creature she killed wasn't the hollow spirit. Depressed from the recent events, Akihito asks Mirai about what she thinks about him, which makes her claim that Akihito is a senior with some serious issues. After the hollow shadow incident, Akihito, Mirai, Hiromi, and Mitsuki return to school as usual. Akihito and Hiromi try to convince Mirai to join the literary club, which she decides to refuse. However, as Mirai looks at the gardening encyclopedia, she gets drawn to it and agrees to join the club without a second thought. The sudden change of tone makes Akihito tease Mirai, while Hiromi thinks about the reason Mitsuki is late. Meanwhile, Mitsuki is still disturbed by what she witnessed during the battle with the hollow shadow and watches some girls with lanterns, which makes her think the festival is near. Akihito gives Mirai her first task as a club member to review past stories for a compilation, while Akihito and Hiromi indulge in discussing their fetishes related to Mirai's traits, which annoys her. However, as the duo teases Mirai, Mitsuki arrives to comfort her and scold the boys for their behavior. After that, Mirai introduces herself to Mitsuki, with her intention to join the club, which Mitsuki accepts as she looks towards our cute girl. Later in the day, Akihito, Mitsuki, and Hiromi accompany Mirai to the Nace residence where they encounter Miroku, who introduces himself while he claims that he would have loved to meet Izumi before parting, but Izumi ignored him. However, before leaving, Miroku gives a side-eye to Akihito, which he finds irritating as tries to think of a reason for Miroku's stare. After that, the group meets up with Izumi, where Mirai surrenders her Spirit World Warrior identification card as a punishment for her actions during the Hollow Shadow incident. Even Akihito faces Izumi scolding for his involvement in the incident. However, after taking Mirai's card, Izumi asks to talk with Mirai alone while she makes others leave. Devastated by the consequences of her actions, Mirai realizes she won't be able to pay her rent for the upcoming month as now she cannot hunt down Yumu. Akihito suggests that Mirai find a part-time job to make ends meet and asks Mitsuki to take her to a nearby restaurant. At the cafe, as they sit to wait for the manager, Mirai tries to have a chat with Mitsuki, who has a tendency to remain silent in the face of strangers. However, Mirai's cute gestures make the environment less vulnerable, which makes Mitsuki introduce her pet partner Yakimo. They also discuss various topics including Mirai's insecurities, Akihito's past altercation with Hiromi, and the Nace family's surveillance of Akihito. As they indulge in their conversation, Mirai and Mitsuki suddenly sense the presence of a person possessed by a Yumu. With quick reflexes and the assistance of Mitsuki's powerful cage, they swiftly defeat the Yumu, preventing any harm to others. Impressed by Mirai's swift action, Mitsuki claims that Mirai has grown a lot. After that, Shizuku joins them, making Mirai give the ore to her as she cannot earn from it. It makes Shizuku inform them that she had been after that Yumu for a while, as its value is at least 50,000 yen, which startles Mirai as she vents her anger on social forums. After seeing Mirai crying face, Shizuku decides to treat Mitsuki and Mirai to a nearby restaurant. As Mirai watches the meat in front of her, she cannot help but love the texture of it. Can someone please give Mirai all of their money? As they talk, Mirai sees a poster for the Lantern Festival, making Shizuku reluctantly reveal that it is meant for couples only. Mitsuki also briefly remembers being unable to participate in the Lantern Festival due to her duties as a Spirit World Warrior. The following day, Akihito is absent from school and Mitsuki takes Mirai to Ayaka's photo studio as part of Mirai's part-time job. Mirai is initially embarrassed about posing a maid's outfit, but her discomfort lessens when Ai reveals that she has been doing nude pictures for Ayaka's private collection. As it turns out, Ai has been doing it in her Yumu form. OMG, she looks so cute in the pictures. Later in the afternoon, as Ai dresses up for the Lantern Festival, Ayaka informs Mitsuki and Mirai that Akihito is depressed due to the Hollow Spirit incident, as he had reacted similarly in the past after attacking Hiromi while under the influence of himself. After getting ready, Shizuku joins them and informs them that she's going on a date at the festival. As Ayaka and Ai leave, Mitsuki and Mirai decide to stay at the photo studio to help in its closing. Mirai tries to convince Mitsuki to attend the festival, but Mitsuki reveals that they are all alone and it's her decision to not attend the festival. However, as Mitsuki closes the shop, Mirai's enthusiasm for joining the festivities eventually convinces Mitsuki to change her mind. They both dress up and make their way to the Lantern Festival. As they walk along the road decorated with lanterns, they are captivated by the beauty of the scene. Just in time for the fireworks display, Hiromi drags Aikido to the festival, where Aikido tries to leave, but Mirai convinces him by claiming that they are all alone, so they should try to enjoy their life. Mirai's words make Mitsuki let down her guard as she shocks Hiromi by requesting him to buy kami apples for her. However, Shizuku sits alone as her date doesn't come, while others feel mesmerized by the event. In the club room, Mitsuki warmly welcomes Mirai to the literary club while she also encourages her to embrace her high school life. Meanwhile, Mirai's obsession with bonsai becomes known to the club members as Mirai claims that it took a lot of her money to buy them. However, Mirai's stomach noise makes Aikido tease her that she is the one at fault for her empty stomach, which makes Mirai show them her ID, informing them that she is back in business. After school, as Mirai continues her part-time job being Ayaka's model at the photo studio, Aikido asks Ayaka for Mirai's picture price. "I think our dear Aikido is a total pervert for Mirai lol, not that I have any complaints." After that, Mirai seeks advice on which yumu she can hunt to earn enough money to pay her rent on time, and Ayaka directs her towards a fruit-type yumu located on the rooftop of their school, estimating its value to be around 500,000 yen. However, the mention of potential competition causes Mirai to hastily rush back to school without fully understanding a crucial detail about the yumu. Unfortunately, Aikido arrives too late to inform Mirai and tries to stop her from launching a surprise attack on the yumu, as their attempt results in the fruit-type yumu exploding, releasing a foul-smelling yellow liquid that leaves both of them covered in a disgusting stink. However, Mirai and Aikido spend the rest of the day making a second attempt to defeat the yumu, but their efforts only lead to a bag of soiled clothes and bruised egos. After that, they leave the school as everyone complains about the horrible smell, which makes Mirai put the blame on Aikido. However, Aikido's words about Mirai's petted figure make Mirai sulk, as she ends up bashing him on the internet. Later that night, as Mirai prepares for her role as Ayaka's model, Ai takes the opportunity to teach Aikido some crucial information about the fruit-type yumu. Ai explains that the yumu can be easily distracted, and has an unusual interest in human girls, which is a typical behavior for a yumu. This makes them realize that they need Mitsuki's help to lure the yumu, so Mirai and Aikido convince her by leveraging the repulsive smell of the yumu's juices on their clothes. On the following Sunday, Aikido, Mitsuki, and Ai join forces to confront the fruit-type yumu. Mirai dresses in an outfit of an idol and acts as bait by showing her seductive poses that manage to catch the yumu's attention. But their plan is obstructed when Yakimo, Mitsuki's yumu pet, becomes exhausted because he ate too much. As Yakimo is a big chunky pet, no one will say anything to him. As a result, the yumu drenches everyone in its foul-smelling juices. However, Mitsuki is soaked with a different liquid that is very foul, but it affects only others, and the smell cannot go away until that yumu die. As all of them sit in the club room with their masks on, Aikido and Mirai think about giving up as they cannot handle such a yumu. However, Mitsuki refuses to back down as she cannot keep on smelling like poop. Mitsuki decides to put out Aikido's mask so that he understands her pain. However, Hiromi arrives thinking about her sister, but as soon as he enters the room, the foul smell makes him puke, so runs towards the washroom. After that, all of them visit a park to lighten the mood, where Hiromi and Aikido decide to tease Mitsuki, who is locked inside a ball. However, Mitsuki opens the ball to make them taste what she's facing. Determined to overcome this obstacle, they prepare for another attempt to defeat the fruit-type yumu and restore their dignity. Hiromi informs the group about another crucial detail about defeating the fruit-type yumu. It can be easily distracted by song and dance. Hiromi plays the same song that had proven effective in vanquishing the yumu before. Although Mirai finds the song sickeningly sweet and feels embarrassed, Mitsuki pushes through the attempt. However, Akihiro suddenly remembers that Mirai is a terrible singer, leading to a disastrous outcome that causes the yumu to retaliate, causing a massive splash that leaves the group soaked and defeated yet again. However, after their initial failure, as the group shower and all of them think about quitting, they all gather their determination and decide to give it another try, even though Mirai still decides to stay away from Mitsuki due to her smell. As they spend the following week practicing and perfecting their performance, determined to rid themselves of the humiliating stench. With their new moves and improved skills, Mirai, Mitsuki, Hiromi, and Akihiro confront the yumu once again, with Ai acting as their secret weapon. After a week, the group gathers at the rooftop where they start their performance while remembering their cumbersome and hectic routine. The fruit-type yumu also becomes completely engrossed by the spectacle, as they all perform in harmony with Ai being their secret weapon. However, to their horror, they realize that with all of them dancing, no one is left to deliver the final blow to the yumu. In a devastating turn of events as the song ends, the Yumu explodes once more, its juices overflowing the rooftop and leaving them in a state of disappointment and frustration. As all of them yet again take the bath, and Mitsuki feels angry as the shampoo bottle is already gone, and yet Kimo dances despite her owner's terrible condition. Even pets can make you feel lesser by them. Elsewhere, Sakura fights another Yumu and replenishes her weapon by devouring the ore of the Yumu, while her thoughts drift back to the day when her sister Yu pointed out that Sakura doesn't have powers as a spirit world warrior, as she highlights her inability to perceive the eerie purple sky caused by the hollow shadow which Sakura cannot see. Meanwhile, Yu also advised Sakura to remain indoors during the looming crisis. In the present, Hiromi finds himself in despair, mourning the loss of his CD collection. Hiromi informs Aikido that he had attempted to sabotage Mitsuki by submitting a forged application on her behalf to the idol group, as she thinks that she will look pretty in those types of bands. Meanwhile, Mitsuki unexpectedly appears before Mirai to scare the duo, who are immersed in their never-ending pervert thoughts. Mitsuki asks about Mirai's whereabouts as she looks toward various bonsai trees, which makes Aikido inform that she is at an all-you-can-eat udon event. However, as a baseball hits a bonsai tree, Mirai quickly makes her appearance to tend to her little babies. Shortly after, Shizuku arrives and delivers surprising news to Mirai, informing her about Sakura's transfer to their school. Mirai is taken aback by this revelation, unsure of how to react. Shizuku suggests that Mirai should seek assistance from the influential Nace family to prevent Sakura's transfer. However, contemplating the situation, Mirai decides against taking any action. As they all walk towards their homes, Mirai informs Mitsuki that it would ultimately make no difference whether or not Sakura joined their school, as she will keep on hunting her as Sakura blames her for Yu's untimely death. After that, Mirai realizes that she forgot something at school, so she takes her leave, and Akihito finds himself walking home alone when he stumbles upon Sakura, who collapses after a fierce battle with bird-shaped Yumu. Akihito saves Sakura from the Yumu attacking her by using her weapon, which takes some of his energy as well. After that, Aikido takes Sakura to his home and prepares a comforting meal of omelette rice. Despite his efforts, Sakura refuses to eat, as she claims that it's disgusting, leaving Aikido confused. Aikido informs Sakura that her weapon is much stronger and can have a devastating effect on her as well. Words of worry make Sakura feel vulnerable, as she confesses that she relies on consuming Yu's stones to strengthen her weapon, and also reveals that she has been entrusted with the task of killing Mirai Kuriyama. Aikido asks Sakura who provided her with such a weapon, which makes her claim that it was some man. Aikido also questions whether Sakura is truly capable of holding such a weapon, given the toll her weapon caused on his own body, even with brief usage. After that, all of a sudden, the bell rings and Mirai asks Aikido to open the door, which makes Aikido hastily hide Sakura in a cabinet as he opens the door. He attempts to persuade Mirai to leave immediately, but his efforts prove futile, and Mirai remains determined to confront the situation as she watches the girl's shoe in front of her. As Mirai's assumptions don't end, Aikido informs Mirai that Sakura is in the room as she is wounded. However, Sakura takes matters into her own hands and departs, casting a menacing glare at Mirai in the process. The following day, Mirai's peaceful school routine is shattered as Sakura transfers into her section, causing unease and tension to flood the air. Aikido watches Mirai as she is taking the swimming class and talks about being concerned. Meanwhile, Mirai remembers Aikido's words that Sakura is using a powerful weapon that can eventually harm her as well. After that, in the club room, Aikido confides in Hiromi about what he discovered regarding Sakura, and Mitsuki also becomes aware of Mirai's intentions to confront Sakura as well. After school, as rain pours down, Mirai bravely confronts Sakura at a nearby market, determined to defend herself and overcome her own regrets surrounding Yu's death. This time, Mirai refuses to back down, realizing that dying would not alleviate her pain. As the two clash, Mirai demonstrates her growth and reveals the difference between herself and Sakura's powers, while Mirai informs that she was holding down during the Hollow Spirit event. As the battle continues, Sakura finally admits her defeat, but the weapon in Sakura's possession turns against her, threatening to consume her. In a swift and decisive move, Mirai intervenes and saves Sakura from the weapon's attack. Mirai reveals that Yu also mentioned that she was jealous of her and claimed that Yu would have wanted to see the same sister she used to love. Mirai's actions and her words move Sakura as she cries, although she hesitates to move on but ultimately decides to reconcile with Mirai. Meanwhile, Miroku retrieves Sakura's discarded weapon, disappointed that he deceived Sakura. However, he remains confident that the Yu stones contained within the weapon will be valuable for his true objective, obtaining the stone of the Hollow Shadow. Later that night, Mitsuki comes across Izumi, who is wearing a puzzled expression. Looking around, Mitsuki notices that the town's streets are transforming, forming the crystal-clear image of the surrounding buildings, which makes Mitsuki ask Izumi about this phenomenon. Izumi reveals that it is a sign of the approaching calm, a mysterious event that occurs from time to time, and also explains that during the calm, the boundary between the human world and the spirit world becomes thinner, allowing for unusual occurrences and encounters. As Izumi mentions the calm, she ominously adds that what follows is beyond the boundary. As the morning arrives, Izumi calls out to one of her servants and uses her spell, which makes her consciousness drift away. Meanwhile, Mitsuki wonders about the coming calm as she recalls her sister's words. Elsewhere, Mirai takes on her newfound role as a supportive older sister figure to Sakura. With their differences put aside, Sakura is now residing in Mirai's apartment and claims that she doesn't have a reason to attend school. However, Mirai tries to scold her, but Sakura mentions that Mirai's own condition is not so good either. Soon they get ready and wait at the train station where Sakura brushes Mirai's hair. As they talk, Mirai realizes that Aikido is nodding off, which makes Sakura push Mirai closer to our cute sleeping hero. The sudden closeness wakes up Aikido, but he sleeps yet again when Mirai complains to Sakura. However, Aikido informs that he spent 7 hours contemplating the perfect pair of glasses for Mirai, a gesture that both flusters and puzzles her. Love is in the air, guys. At school, as the topic of final exams fills the air, Shizuku wakes Sakura up by using her skills and informs the class that she plans to take a week off for personal reasons. It makes one of the student claims that Shizuku might be marrying, which hits Shizuku deeply as she scolds her student. Attention, dear students, don't tease your teacher who is still looking for their soulmates. Meanwhile, Sakura shares with Mirai the unsettling rumors circulating about the impending approach of the calm. Later, a postcard from Yoe arrives in which she scolds her son for not listening to her warning regarding the Hollow Spirit event. Meanwhile, Aikido watches Mirai in one of her costumes and decides to take a photo, but Ayaka intervenes as she asks for money for such shots. It is indeed hilarious. After that, as Yoe's message continues, she informs everyone that calm is coming in a way that even makes all of them leave, and Hiromi realizes that Mitsuki already left him as he questions his role as her big brother. Mirai also parts ways as she needs to avail of the sale, which leaves Aikido alone as Hiromi decides to find his sister. Feeling tired, Aikido boards the train to head home. Meanwhile, Mitsuki is picked up by Miroku, who informs Mitsuki that Yuma forms as a result of people's resentments and can cause disasters and diseases of all sorts. After that, Miroku reveals the true identity of the entity behind the calm phenomenon, a powerful Yuma known as Beyond the Boundary, which makes Mitsuki remember Izumi's words. Miroku realizes that Mitsuki is unaware of its presence. He decides to tease her, while Mitsuki decides to gather information from Fujima. However, as he doesn't answer, Mitsuki asks Yakimo to handle the situation. Miroku informs Mitsuki that the Inami family was trying to kill Mirai, but Izumi came to her rescue and brought her here. After that, they stop by a beach where Miroku starts getting uncomfortably close to Mitsuki, raising her suspicions. Just as the situation escalates, Hiromi, who has been secretly trailing his sister, suddenly appears. The brief altercation ensues between Hiromi and Miroku, but the latter manages to escape before things escalate further. Despite the encounter, Mitsuki gains crucial information about the connection between the Inami family, Mirai, Kuriyama, and Izumi. As Aikido rides the train, he nods off and dreams about his friends who felt frightened when Aikido survived being hit by a car. After that, Aikido encounters Izumi, who uses a glaciate barrier on him, which causes him to lose his consciousness and is later discovered inside the train. Concerned for his well-being, he is taken to Ayaka's house to rest. Mirai and Sakura join Ayaka in checking on Aikido, and they realize that both his Yunmu and human sides have significantly weakened. Ayaka expresses her helplessness in aiding Aikido's current condition. Despite Ayaka's advice, Mirai decides to stay by Aikido's side and watch over him for a while before leaving. Recognizing the urgency of the situation, Ayaka begins preparing for midnight, possibly in relation to the events unfolding due to the upcoming calm. After some time passes, the city turns into a battleground as the weakened Yu become easy prey for the spirit world warriors, who seize the opportunity to slay them. Amidst the chaos, Hiromi approaches Mitsuki to discuss her encounter with Miroku and cautions her, suggesting that Miroku might be spreading lies to sow discord within the Nace family. Hiromi acknowledges that he doesn't possess the full story either, but he advises Mitsuki that confronting Izumi would likely be fruitless in uncovering the truth. In another location, Sakura engages in a conversation with Mirai while grabbing dinner at a nearby convenience store, and Mirai finally opens up about her feelings towards Aikido, expressing how he has been a significant person in her life for treating her with acceptance and normalcy despite her unique identity. Sakura suggests that Mirai should tend to Aikido, which makes her run in Aikido's direction. After some time, Mitsuki and Hiromi receive a message from Mirai regarding Aikido. Meanwhile, Moroku arrives at the Shindu photo studio and demands that Ayaka hand over Aikido. However, Ayaka firmly refuses to comply and prepares to fight as Ayaka transforms into a silver nine-tailed fox, but the effects of the calm have weakened her considerably, enabling Moroku to overpower her as he also commends Ayaka for her formidable power. Fortunately, Izumi intervenes, saving Ayaka from Moroku's assault and causing Moroku to commend her for being on time. Meanwhile, as I watches over the weakened Aikido, his Yubu side slowly starts to manifest itself. Amidst the chaos of the ongoing battles between the Spirit World warriors and the Yumu in the city, Mirai rushes back to the Shindu photo studio, where a shocking scene unfolds before her eyes. Inside, she finds Ai unconscious as well as Aikido transform into this formidable Yumu form, which frightens her. Meanwhile, Mitsuki and Hiromi find themselves locked in a fierce struggle against a powerful Yumu, despite its weakened state caused by the calm. The towering creature poses a significant threat, but the combined efforts of Mitsuki's Yakimo and Hiromi's unique abilities manage to bring it down somehow. In a distant location, Izumi and Miroku engage in a fierce battle of their own, and the clash between the two makes Miroku more hysterical as Izumi manages to strike the first blow, drawing blood from Miroku, and confronts him about his actions and the mysterious society of Spirit World warriors. However, Miroku remains tight-lipped and refuses to disclose any information. Suddenly, an explosion rocks the surrounding neighborhood, providing Miroku with an opportunity to escape, leaving Izumi to ponder the mysteries that still lie unanswered. Amidst the chaos of the explosion, Mirai finds herself standing face-to-face with Aikido, now transformed into this formidable Yumu form. As they prepare for another confrontation, Ayaka swiftly takes Ai to safety, removing her from harm's way. Left alone, Mirai realizes that she must once again confront Aikido, but before she can make her move, Izumi suddenly appears on the scene, providing Aikido an opportunity to escape. Meanwhile, Mitsuki and Hiromi successfully managed to defeat the towering Yumu that had posed a significant threat by using a combined barrier to squash the Yumu. With the immediate danger averted, they regroup with Izumi and Mirai, and together, they make their way to Aikido's apartment. Once there, Mirai takes the opportunity to explain that Akaya informed her that the unique situation surrounding Aikido has weakened the state of this human and Yumu Hao's offers. Mirai further informs them that the Yumu side of Aikido's existence became marginally stronger than his human side due to fever, allowing it to manifest under certain circumstances. In the midst of their conversation, an unexpected accident occurs, leading Mirai to stumble upon Aikido's books with tons of Mirai's pictures, which makes her embarrassed. Mirai also watches a magazine in which he plans to surprise her with a pair of black-framed glasses for her upcoming birthday. This discovery serves as an emotional reminder of their deep connection and the significance Aikido holds in Mirai's life. As the group processes this newfound information, they realize that they must find Aikido swiftly, not only to understand the truth behind his transformation, but also to ensure his safety in the face of impending dangers. Soon after leaving Aikido's apartment, a powerful tremor shakes the area, prompting the group to move toward a nearby forest. As they venture deeper, their eyes are drawn to a massive crater, a possible result of Aikido's recent actions. While Izumi decides to investigate Aikido's traces, she approaches Mirai with a disquieting request. She asks Mirai to kill Aikido the next time they cross paths, as Izumi suggests that Aikido might remain in this form even after the calm, which will result in a huge disaster as Aikido is a formidable enemy. Mirai is left unsettled by this proposition, and Mitsuki's composure falters at the mere thought of taking Aikido's life. Hiromi, however, reveals a hidden resolve, appearing prepared for the worst. At home, Mirai's odd behavior is also observed by Sakura, as Mirai takes a longer time in the shower, while she thinks about Izumi's words. However, when Sakura tries to ask, Mirai doesn't tell her anything and just cries while hugging her. As the night wears on, Hiromi waits for her sister, as she informs the elders about the situation. Hiromi finds himself confronting Izumi, voicing his suspicions about her manipulation of Mirai into fulfilling her request. Hiromi questions Izumi's true intentions as he asks Izumi that she is the one who caused Aikido's human self to weaken, but instead of providing answers, she offers a cryptic warning about the Society of Spirit World Warriors' plot against the Nace family. This revelation further complicates their already tangled web of alliances and loyalties. As the next day dawns, life returns to normal for the majority of students at school. However, Sakura can't help but notice that Mirai is still consumed by her worries and concerns about Aikido. Deep down, Sakura shares her friend's unease and is determined to support Mirai through this difficult time. Meanwhile, Mirai has mentally prepared herself for the impending challenges that lie ahead. In her interactions with Hiromi, she drops subtle hints that indicate a readiness to face whatever awaits them, as she is prepared to kill Akito if it is deemed necessary. Sensing her determination, Hiromi opens up to Mirai and shares crucial information about Beyond the Boundary and asks Mirai to not kill Akito. In a quiet moment, Mirai allows herself to recall her initial encounter with Akito, their intertwined destinies, and the impact he has had on her life. She can't help but ponder the possibility of a different reality, wishing that their paths had never crossed. As the rainy season descends upon the city, a somber atmosphere fills the lives of those who are aware of Akito's impending fate. With heavy hearts, they each go their separate ways, carrying the weight of their emotions. In the midst of this gloom, Mirai finds herself sitting in a quiet cafe, meeting with Izumi. Their conversation is burdened with unspoken tensions and hidden truths. Meanwhile, Hiromi takes it upon himself to investigate Izumi's intentions regarding Mirai, delving into the depths of her plans. During his investigation, Hiromi develops a theory that fragments of Beyond the Boundary have manifested, and Akito's connection to it becomes a focal point of his inquiries, as he thinks that the other half of Beyond the Boundary resides inside Akito. In a startling revelation, Hiromi discovers that an unexpected intruder has trespassed into the Nace family's secret chamber. To his disbelief, it is none other than Moroku, who appears to be absorbing the power of the Hollow Shadow Stone. Meanwhile, Mirai's search for Akito intensifies, and she reaches out to Hiromi to share her decision to confront and potentially kill Akito. However, before she can fully realize her intentions, Akito abruptly awakens and stands before her, ready to face the impending conflict head-on. Despite her hesitations and internal struggle, Mirai finds herself forced into action. In a moment filled with profound symbolism, Mirai leaves behind her iconic red-framed glasses, signifying her willingness to cast aside her past and fully embrace her duty. With unwavering determination, she charges toward Akito, ultimately delivering a decisive blow by piercing him with her weapon. After their intense and bloody encounter, Akito wakes up in a hospital with Mirai by his side, and she dedicates herself to nursing Akito back to health, though her methods raise some eyebrows. Mirai is indeed clumsy, as she shares omurice with boiled eggs, and Akihito realizes that she used every single egg with no success. As Akito opens the fridge, a horrifying pig head startles him. After that, Sakura pays them a visit and realizes that Mirai has yet to confess her true feelings to Akito, but Mirai stops from saying anything further by pushing outside. Akito emerges from his house, noticing the commotion, only to find that summer has already arrived. In another timeline where Nagatsuka City is still covered in snow, Mirai discovers an apparently lifeless Akito in the literary club of their school and tries to talk to him, but he remains silent. Akito, now aware that it is summer vacation, notices Sakura and Mitsuki at the school dressed in swimsuits, which leads to their usual playful banter with Hiromi, the hidden admirer. Afterward, Mirai remembers accompanying Akito back to his apartment, but he appears distant and unresponsive, almost like a zombie. Mirai feels a deep sadness witnessing Akito in this state as he shuffles silently towards his apartment, her words seemingly falling on deaf ears. At present, as the late afternoon sun begins its descent, Akihito and Mirai find themselves enjoying a peaceful moment together. Akihito is captivated by the warmth of Mirai's smile, and his heart brims with affection, and he summons his courage, and he decides to ask Mirai out to dinner, hoping to spend more time with her. Blushing and hesitant, Mirai politely declines his invitation, as she wonders why Akihito is so kind to her. Akihito earnestly explains that it's because they share similarities and that he sees a part of himself in her. Uncomfortable with the idea of Akihito recognizing his own struggles in her, Mirai recoils, much to his disappointment, and informs Akihito that she heard from Mitsuki that Akihito is into this kind of thing. Before long, Akihito uncovers Mitsuki's role in Mirai's current behavior and confronts her, insisting that she let the matter go. Abruptly, Mirai's behavior shifts, her expression turning grave as she reveals her plan to vanquish Beyond the Boundary and the consequences of their previous battle. Astonishingly, she discloses that by stabbing Akihito, she absorbed the entity into herself, thus saving him but sacrificing her own existence. But Mirai standing before him, she confesses it's merely a manifestation born from Akihito's dreams, a product of Beyond the Boundary's lingering influence fueled by the drop of blood within him. In the blink of an eye, Akihito finds himself transported to a vast field surrounded by vibrant sunflowers. It is within this unearthly realm that Mirai makes a daring attempt to kiss him. However, she soon realizes the difficulty of such an attempt, even though she realizes that they are dreaming, but she cannot kiss him like this. As the moment lingers, Mirai gradually dissipates, fading from Akihito's sight, and he regains consciousness. Akito's surroundings shift once again and he finds himself confined to a hospital bed, the ambience tinged with the hues of autumn's golden leaves. His gaze falls upon a pair of distinct red-framed glasses, evoking memories of the past. Rewinding time 6 months, the events following the encounter with Yui and the Hollow Shadow come into focus. Mirai, under the introduction of Izumi, stands before the Nace family's father, who unveils her new mission, which includes the elimination of Akito Kanbara, the immortal half-Yumu harboring the entity known as Beyond the Boundary. With the weight of her duty pressing upon her, Mirai is granted full support and resources, including a new place to reside and assistance in tracking Akito's whereabouts. However, to her surprise, she soon discovers that Akito is far from the formidable threat she had anticipated. Instead, he exhibits a deep understanding of her own circumstances and struggles. 1 month passes and Mirai finds herself grappling with the inner turmoil of having to eliminate Akito. She confides in Izumi, expressing her difficulty in carrying out the task. Izumi reassures Mirai that there might still be an opportunity to eliminate him, emphasizing the importance of maintaining distance for her own safety. Despite the advice to keep her distance, Mirai finds it increasingly challenging to push Akito away, especially after encountering the Hollow Shadow and discovering someone who truly understands her emotions. Another month goes by during which Mirai's duties as a spirit world warrior are temporarily suspended by Izumi. Disappointed by Mirai's failure to seize the chance to defeat Beyond the Boundary, Izumi shares her discontent with Mirai. However, Izumi also discloses to Mirai the possibility of extracting Beyond the Boundary without causing harm to Akito. Izumi gives out a piece of paper with Akito's location to Mirai, and she encourages her to proceed despite the potential repercussions of risking her life for his sake. Izumi gives Mirai the information that she can absorb the powerful Yumu into herself and can save Akito's life. Before leaving, Mirai shares a message that she wants to give to Akihito, as Izumi claims that Akito wouldn't want Mirai to sacrifice herself for him. As Akito gradually recovers his strength, he can only observe in awe as the autumn leaves gracefully descend, while Mirai ventures into her own wintry dream world to locate the core of Beyond the Boundary. Mirai launches her assault on the dream world of Beyond the Boundary, but a formidable Yumu quickly counterattacks, forcing Mirai into a defensive position. Meanwhile, our villain watches the weapon that he obtained from Sakura and claims that such a weapon can only suit him. In the meantime, Mitsuki pays a visit to Akito and realizes that he is now awake. However, Akito only asks about Mirai, making Mitsuki aware of his deep concern for Mirai's safety. Akito, seeking answers, confides in Hiromi about his 3-month confinement in a hospital bed and the mysterious disappearance of Mirai. Hiromi informs Akito that he is not immortal now and can die as well, as the thing that kept him dying was Beyond the Boundary, which was residing inside of him. Hiromi also mentions that he is losing his powers ever since the incident, which makes Akito inform the duo about the rumbling sounds he has been hearing since regaining consciousness. Despite Hiromi's inability to perceive these sounds due to his waning powers, he resolves to take Akito to the Shindu photo studio in hopes of unraveling the mystery. After enjoying a satisfying meal of omeris at Ayaka's cafe, Akito's attention turns to the mysterious sounds he has been hearing. Ayaka shares her thoughts with Hiromi, suggesting that these sounds might be a consequence of Akito's connection to Beyond the Boundary. Fueled by his curiosity, Akito insists that Hiromi take him to see Izumi, hoping to uncover the truth. However, Hiromi resists, reminding Akito of their previous failed attempts to extract information from Izumi. Tensions rise, and a heated argument between the friends is about to erupt until Izumi herself arrives, diffusing the situation and restoring a sense of calm. In the outskirts, Izumi reveals the myth surrounding Beyond the Boundary, describing it as a manifestation of humanity's accumulated resentments over time and claiming that the world would have ended if they didn't do anything at first, as society was also looking for him. Discovering that Akito harbored such a powerful Yumu inside him, transforming him into a menacing immortal half-Yumu, Izumi believed that its destruction was necessary. To accomplish this, she enlisted the help of someone with cursed blood, Mirai. However, Izumi claims that Mirai's decision to save Akito and sacrifice herself was her own decision, as she never intended for things to go this way. Despite his mixed emotions, Izumi expresses gratitude towards Mirai for her selfless act of saving the world. Akihito, shaken by Izumi's words, wanders through the city at night, haunted by memories of the dream world. Eventually, he arrives at Mirai's apartment, where Sakura confronts him angrily, demanding to know Mirai's whereabouts, but he remains silent as he walks by, which makes Sakura extremely sad. Returning home for the first time in 3 months, Akito discovers Mirai's final text message waiting for him, further deepening his emotional turmoil. In the text message, Mirai informs Akito that even though people hated her because she was born into a cursed clan by meeting Aikido, she realized that she isn't cursed or kills people. However, she is born to protect people, and she is glad that she was given the opportunity to protect Aikido and ask Aikido to take his life seriously, as he will not be immortal now. Touched by Mirai's heartfelt message, Aikido is moved to tears. However, the situation takes a darker turn as Miroku reveals that beyond the boundary, during its prolonged battle with Mirai, is draining the powers of all Yumu and Spirit World warriors in the vicinity. To provoke Izumi into action, Miroku decides to give Beyond the Boundary a significant power boost. He transfers the energy from his car into his weapon, unleashing a beam that transforms the dimension of Beyond the Boundary into a conspicuous black sphere visible to normal humans. The sudden surge is felt all around town, as all the Yumu are subsequently drawn into this ominous void, which makes Ayaka and I also float as they reach the sphere. Meanwhile, Aikido received his summons to the school through flyers for the literary club, compelling him to head there. Mirai remains steadfast in her mission to protect the Aikido image trapped within Beyond the Boundary. Meanwhile, outside the boundary, Hiromi, Mitsuki, Sakura, and Shizuku encounter Aikido on his way to the school. They witness the unsettling sight of numerous Yumu being drawn into the expanding void. Determined to find answers, they make their way to the school grounds, where they are surprised to discover a colossal suit of armor. Much to Aikido's irritation, it turns out to be his mother, Yayoi Kanbara, who has taken on this imposing form. It finally gives Aikido the chance to confront her mother for all the humiliating messages Lolo. After that, Yayoi, despite her revealing attire, attempts to explain the situation and directs everyone's attention to the stone that Mirai obtained during the encounter with the Hollow Shadow. Surprisingly, they discover that the stone is a fragment of Aikido himself, separated when Mirai stabbed him and a part of Beyond the Boundary. Yayoi's plan involves allowing Aikido to merge with this piece of Beyond the Boundary and capture his puppet self that resides within the Yumu. All of a sudden, Izumi approaches them to warn Aikido about his vulnerability as a normal human, but Aikido remains resolute. Holding the stone, he plunges into the realm of the Yumu and successfully merges with his puppet self. Determined, he races towards Mirai, catching her just as she delivers a decisive blow to Beyond the Boundary. Finally reunited after 3 months apart, Aikido and Mirai finally get the chance to meet. Inside the realm of Beyond the Boundary, Mirai's unexpected encounter with Aikido annoys her, as by Aikido's interference, it disrupts her plan to sacrifice herself for his sake. However, as she listens to Aikido express his heartfelt feelings for her, she begins to reconsider her decision while she blushes as Aikido claims that he cannot live in a world where Mirai isn't alive. Meanwhile, Izumi confronts Yayoi, seeking answers about the true nature of Aikido, but Yayoi evades her questions, focusing instead on the beam of light emanating from the horizon, a result of Miroku's actions. With a swift decision to take action, Yayoi leaves Izumi with a choice: to pursue her for answers or to intervene in Miroku's dangerous plans. Ultimately, Izumi opts to prioritize stopping Miroku. Inside the realm of Beyond the Boundary, Mirai finds herself at a loss on how to defeat the formidable Yumu standing before her and asks Aikido some methods that go against Aikido's nature, as that Yumu used to be a part of him. But their methods prove futile, as the creature attacks them, leaving them searching for an alternative approach. As the creature attacks them again, Aikido realizes that he can negate its attack, as he is also a part of him, and the duo thinks of a potential strategy against the Yumu. Meanwhile, on the road, Miroku expresses disappointment in the current display of Beyond the Boundary's power, suspecting either insufficient energy from consumed Yumu or the untapped potential of Mirai blood might be the cause that is hindering the creature to overflow its power. Suddenly, Shizuku and Izumi arrive, but their attacks are swiftly suppressed by Miroku, who wields the stone of the Hollow Shadow as part of his formidable weapon. With the arrival of Sakura, Mitsuki, and Hiromi on the battlefield, Miroku takes swift action, trapping himself and Izumi within a formidable barrier. Meanwhile, Aikido and Mirai seize an opportunity by taking the nearby scooter, racing through the chaotic landscape filled with numerous Yumu in the fractured realm of Beyond the Boundary. Mirai summons her courage and leaps towards the core of Beyond the Boundary, driving her sword deep into its center. In a flash, the hovering sphere that looms over the city shatters into countless fragments. Meanwhile, Miroku anticipates the impending collapse of the destroyed Beyond the Boundary, realizing that its implosion will bring about the destruction of the entire world. Overwhelmed by the images of his past and the voices of children, Aikido awakens to find himself and Mirai surrounded by these haunting illusions. Grasping Mirai's hand tightly, they join forces to confront and overcome the specters, fighting back with the power of their minds. Meanwhile, tensions rise as Miroku exposes Izumi's true nature as a human harboring a Yumu inside her. Hiromi, who had arrived to support his older sister in the battle against Miroku, witnesses this revelation with confusion. A situation intensifies when Izumi stabs Miroku with her naginata, causing him to explode, leaving Izumi and Hiromi in a state of confusion. As Mirai and Aikido close their eyes and join hands, they are suddenly enveloped by a swarm of menacing Yumu. Drawing upon their unique abilities, the pair effortlessly quells the aggressive creatures, aided by the assistance of Ayaka and Ai in their Yumu forms. After a few intense minutes, the immense figure of Beyond the Boundary materializes before them, while taking the form of Aikido. With resolute determination in his voice and a powerful punch, Aikido swiftly overwhelms and assimilates Beyond the Boundary back into his being. As Mirai musters the strength to reach out to Aikido, the haunting sound of her leg cracking as fragile glass freezes her in place. With a tremor in her voice, she asks Aikido to approach her, to gently pat her head, and to express his heartfelt gratitude. As Aikido complies, tears stream down Mirai's face as she bids her final farewells, while her body disintegrates into unearthly dust once Beyond the Boundary has vacated her being. Aikido stands powerless, unable to prevent her dissolution, and with unwavering resolve, he hurls himself off the crumbling cliff within Beyond the Boundary's fading realm, clutching Mirai's ring tightly as he falls. After some time, as the grip of winter tightens its hold, life carries on amidst lingering echoes of the past. In the solitude of his apartment, Aikido cherishes the presence of multiple pairs of glasses, remnants of memories he couldn't let go of. Across the city, Shizuku battles the challenges of her profession as a Yu Slayer, grappling with the demands of earning a livelihood. In a heartwarming twist, Sakura and Ai forge a blossoming friendship, while the enigmatic Miroku remains elusive, his whereabouts concealed from prying eyes. Izumi, too, departed swiftly after her conversation with Hiromi, leaving him burdened with the responsibilities of representing the esteemed Nace family. Meanwhile, within the walls of the literary club, life resumed its familiar rhythm, but the void left by Mirai's absence lingered heavily, a palpable presence that weighed on Aikido's soul, evident to the watchful eyes of the Nace siblings. On an ordinary day, as Aikido made his customary journey back home, he felt a peculiar emptiness when he noticed that Mirai's ring was vanishing from his hand. A sudden surge of urgency pushed him towards the rooftop, and there, at the place where their destinies first intertwined, a scene unfolded before him, leaving Aikido to overcome with emotion. Mirai, standing resolute, lent an ear to Aikido's heartfelt confession, his words of unwavering devotion to glasses resonating through the air. In a heartwarming twist of fate, their paths converged once more as Mirai, wearing her fresh pair of red-framed glasses, reunited with Aikido, bridging the gap between their souls once more. And with this, we conclude our recap for today. It was indeed a breathtaking anime. I loved every second of it. How about you? Do comment below if you enjoyed our video, do give us a like, and subscribe to any recap for more amazing content.